All right, everyone. Thanks a lot for jumping in and seeing us here at GEG Nagoya Online Live. This is episode number 6 of 6 for 2019. We'll be coming at you again next year. Had a little bit of a technical issue there with Chrome a moment ago, but looks like we're ready to go. So I'm actually just going to share my screen with you here. And we are going to get rocking and rolling. So again, thanks a lot for tuning in. This, like I said, is episode 6 out of 6, and we're going to talk today about Google Sites, and we're going to tell you a little bit about Blogger. We've decided that we're going to focus really just on Google Sites simply because it's a lot easier to use, and it seems that Google's not spending as much time on Blogger or developing that app. They've had it for a number of years, but it looks like they could be moving in another direction. We don't know. It is also a little bit more complicated to use. So for that reason, we're going to stick really with Google Sites, which is way cool and way easy to use. You might want to use it for a classroom website. You might want to use sites for a blog. You might want to use sites for your own professional site. So before we really get rolling, here we are. Google Sites and blogs from GEG Nagoya, YouTube Live. We'll come at you in 2020 with a whole new series. Before we do that, we want to just remind people that GEG Asia Pacific Connect is out there. GEG Asia Pacific Connect is a group of Google educator groups in the Asia Pacific region. And we have held one YouTube Live event. And in 2020, we do intend to do a few more. You can see the URL down below, sites.google.com/view/GEG Asia. And please have a look. If you are looking for a Google educator group in your area, there is a map under the one of the tabs. You can find and contact one of the GEGs wherever it is you're viewing from and wherever you live. And keep your eyes out, because in 2020 we will be doing yet another online live. The last one that we did, we had 8 different languages in 8 different online spaces across Asia Pacific, and in real time had about 2,000 viewers, and we would love to grow that and have you join us. And before we really get going, we're going to just remind you or inform you that we're going to have a Google Certified Educator online study group in 2020. So you can get certified with Google, and GEG Nagoya is going to help you do that. In simple terms, it is self-paced, self-guided study with Google's study guide, but we're going to get online every so often to get together and answer questions and help each other be successful on the exam. You can choose to do the exam on your own, or you can join us at some place in Nagoya, yet to be decided, and we're going to write the exam together. And that is totally okay, because it is an open book exam. You get certified with Google, then you have an access to literally thousands of Google certified educators around the world to connect your classrooms with, or just to build your own PLN and get really good ideas. We do hope to have a January New Year pub night. Details of that are still underway. Might not be January, but pub night is coming soon in Nagoya. We always hold these at Coat of Arms. We hope to see you there. So now let's get into the real reason why you're here. We're going to talk about Google Sites. And first off, why would you want to have a class website or a professional website, or perhaps a blog? Well, just looking at our list here, some things that, some very maybe obvious but not so obvious reasons. A website is a single place for your students to go, or maybe your audience if you choose to create a professional website. So it's really easy for your PLN, your professional learning network, to access information and access your ideas and your thinking. You can share your learning, you can share student learning, you can share assignments, resources, whatever it is. In fact, I recommend, if you start your own website, start really simple by putting resources on there. And as you get used to it, then you might want to start adding other things, maybe widgets that allow you to collaborate with other people or whatnot. They're great for community building. If you have an online presence, everybody can find you, because everybody, most people are online. So it really does encourage sharing and outreach and that kind of thing. If you move from one school to another school, or one country to another country, you can take it with you. Let's say you've even created a Google site in your school domain. Well, you can just change the ownership to your private account. I kind of recommend that you create a Google site with your private account, um, because all the apps really are integrated within your private account as well as a school domain. There might be a few things you can't use, but for the most part, actually, you'll probably just use your apps that you have in a private account. Great for collaboration. You can have loads and loads of people working on the same website if it's a Google site. And it's also integrated with Drive. We'll get to that in the next slide. Sites are really good for long-term projects. They're good for events. Um, all right. So why would you use Google Sites or Blogger? Because you've got Wix, you have Weebly. There's a whole pile of other really good sites, honestly, that you can build your blog or your website with. Now, the thing that I like most about Google Sites is that it's integrated with all your Drive apps, and it's really extremely user friendly. There's not really a lot to it, which makes it limited in its look and feel and aesthetics, but it is quite user friendly. Um, it again is integrated with all your Google Drive apps, so Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Sheets, uh, Google Forms. You can also easily embed YouTube. You can embed maps. You can embed My Maps. There really is a lot you can do with it. So I like that integration. And let's say you put something on a Google Doc. Well, you can work on that Google Doc from your smartphone or a tablet while you're sitting in a restaurant or on a train, and it updates it in real time. Every time you make changes to a Google site, you're going to have to republish it. But if you integrate your Drive docs with it, then all you have to do is update the doc and it automatically updates it within the website. It's pretty slick. They have templates, not a lot of templates, but for that busy person, you might want to select one and off you go. And I kind of recommend that because you can change them a little bit later once you get better at using the app and more confident. For the user, Google Sites are really easy to navigate. Again, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles you'd find if you bought a paid account through, say, Wix or Weebly, but it has pretty much everything you need. Again, it's easy to add collaborators, whether it's a colleague of yours, or maybe you have your students in your class working on the website. And finally, social media integration and embedding other apps and things that you might find online. This is really easy to do. So just another feature that might push you a little bit closer to Google site. Now, Blogger, I like Blogger because it does look like a blog, on the left side, or excuse me, well, it could be the left side, right side, or the top navigation. It has that blog look and feel where you've got dates and that kind of thing. You don't get that in a Google site. And also has a large variety of widgets. Mind you, widgets are these little things that you see on the side, like a visitor counter, or maybe a special image box or slideshow. Um, it could be maybe your Twitter feed. You can do things like that by embedding into a Google site, but not with everything. I will say Blogger is slightly complicated for the user, which is why we're going to focus on Google Sites today. So I'm going to pop out of this. I am going to show you an example of my blog. This is what a Blogger blog looks like. Now, this is not signed in. I deliberately keep it nice and clean. I've got my own image at the top, and I've got my own description. And then you can see here, I've got my navigation across the top, and I got my widgets along the side. And, I can look at my blog archive. Haven't been so busy this year. It looks kind of like a blog should look. It is easier to navigate than a website, but I think if you're doing a class or professional website, it might be better. This is my learning blog, just where I share my musings. One widget I do like is actually the visitors. Haven't been that busy the last couple of years, so you can see there's not really a lot of people watching right now. But when they do watch, they are from around the world, which is kind of cool. So, getting into Google Sites. Let me first just show you GEGNagoya.com. You may or may not have seen the site. We'll just wait for that to load for a moment. Loading on my ridiculously busy computer, packed with stuff. Okay, so this is the GEG Nagoya website. And you can see we've got our top bar navigation, and you can have drop down and sliding navigation. You can even search within the site, which is pretty commonplace from different website with website. You can have your own icon up here. You can have what's called a favicon up here within your Omni box. That's where the URL is. And you can have this nice big landing page that is simple, clean, and slick. And you can also put at the bottom these banners, which is going to appear at every page within your website. So I don't want to go through this site with you. I just wanted to show you that although it looks a little bit simple, it is pretty quick and easy to use. And you do notice here it says gegnagoya.com. This domain, it only costs about $20 a year. So if you want, you can use your own. You can buy your own domain, and then you can link it to whatever uh, whatever Google site that you choose to make. And to do that, I have a nice long slide deck here. I've already posted the link in the comment box. So if you look here, it is a very, very long deck, and it has all these animated GIFs that will show you step by step how to set up your site, as well as how to connect your site to a domain that you have paid for, which is pretty straightforward, pretty easy to use. But once in a while, it gets a little bit confusing. So if you missed something today, you can email us at gegnagoya@gmail.com, or even just go to this site and try to go it alone. So without further ado, we're going to walk you through creating your own site. Now, because this is being recorded, we're not going to slow down. We're going to keep a fairly brisk pace, but we're going to show you, for the most part, the general features you probably use. Now, I've already accessed my Google site right here. Now, when you go into Gmail, you could go to your apps launcher, and then you want to scroll down. And in a school domain, it's probably going to be in one of these areas here. This is a private account for GEG Nagoya, so it doesn't appear there. Oh my goodness, what to do? Well, I'm just going to go to a new tab, and I'm going to type sites.google.com. And then when I enter that, and I wait for it to load, you're going to notice it's going to be the same as this tab right here. And so what pops up are the Google sites that I am the owner of, or in this case, ones that are owned by anyone. If I choose the ones owned by me, then I can just go straight here. Owned by anyone, actually, this is GEG Asia Pacific Connect. Obviously, we've got a pile of people that are working on that together. It's a collaborative Google site. So actually, there's no specific owner identified, I guess. So now if you want to create your site, basic thing, when you look at these plus buttons in a lot of the Google apps, all you have to do is just tap on that to create a site. Wait for it to load. This saves in real time as well, which is nice. You don't always have to click the save button. You'll notice up here it's going to say all changes saved in Drive, or saving when you've made a change. So the first thing that I want to do, now I might want to look at the different themes, right? These are basically templates that give you like the different color and look and feel. I'm not going to go with that actually. I'm going to first give my page a title though. I'm going to say, let's just say class website. I'm sure you can come up with something a little more creative. Now, I don't want that up like that, one on top of the other. I want to stretch this out. And you may notice that on the sides here, as you pull something over one of these elements, you see these little lines right here. Yeah, they just kind of help you place things. You notice how I've stretched it over a bit and it automatically placed it in there. Now, again, Google Sites are easy to use, but a little bit limited in what you can do. So I want to change the size of this font. There's not a lot I can do with it. I'll bet you in 2 years you're going to have more options. But if I go up here, maybe I want the title, maybe I want a heading. Yeah, I kind of like that. It looks a little bit smaller. Okay. Now let's say I don't notice my site name up here actually. So let's just tap in there. And let's say, sorry about that. That's one of my Chrome extensions talking to you. And when I tap in here, then my class website is going to come up as class website when I go to publish it. I'm not going to do that just yet. Now, maybe I want to add a logo. So you notice I popped over here, moused over, I'm going to click add logo, and I'm going to click upload. And I should get the spinning wheel of death. Yay! I will get an option to grab my images. That might take a moment. I've got a lot of memory used on my computer, so this kind of takes a bit of time once in a while. Okay, so for the sake of argument, I think what I'm going to do is just upload, let's say it's a tech website. Actually, no. Let's find a nice image. Where's my desktop June? There we go. In here, I do have a range of images. Excuse me. It's winter, a bit of a cold season. Okay, here are my edu backgrounds. I'm going to tap on that. The nice thing is too, you can have like a different background image for each page that you have. Tell you what, this is a tech thing that we're doing here, so I'm going to tap on this, and I'm going to get this little logo kind of pop up. And what I think I'm going to do, and what that does is it puts my logo up here. So if I want, I can use the logo color for the theme. I keep the background white if I want. I think I'm going to tap on the theme thing though. So then you notice my color change right here. Now what I want to do though, I want this image to look similar to this background here. So I'm going to change my image. So I tap here and I can either upload one or I can select an image that has been given to me by Google. All right, and these are copyright free, so you can use them. It's not a problem. You can look for an image by searching or pasting a URL of one that you found online that you like. Again, I highly recommend that you practice academic honesty and put the copyright or the place that you found it somewhere maybe at the bottom, maybe that banner at the bottom. But you can search, you can look at your different albums and find the different images that you have. Or if you have an image uploaded to Google Drive, kind of like we have here, you could use that as well. I think what I'm going to do though is close that because I want to upload the one that I just showed you. So I'm going to tap that and I'm just going to use the very same image. You notice here we're just getting our site set up. And look here, it's going to adjust for readability. Basically what it wants to do is make sure that this title can be seen nice and easily. And the next thing you can do is a header type. Now this is a banner header that we're looking at. So if I want, I could do the title only. Boom, and I only have my title. If I want, I can do a banner, and then I get the banner. If I want to do a large banner, I can make it a little bit bigger. Myself, I kind of like the cover for my landing page. It's just a little bit bigger, but basically that's what people see at first. I find it looks just a little bit cleaner. So I'm going to leave it at that. And I want to see what it's going to look like online, you know. So I'm going to go right up here to my preview. Now this does not publish it. You publish things here, but the preview is right here, so nobody can see it. And it opens it up, and that's exactly what it's going to look like at the moment if somebody goes to a desktop to look at my website. If I tap here, I can see what it's going to look like on a tablet. If I tap here, that's what it's going to look like on a smartphone. Pretty funky, right? I'm going to close that up because for me, it looks the way I want it to look. Now, let's say I want to start putting stuff in on my landing page. I'm going to scroll down here just a little bit because I have no content. I'm going to click Insert. And I think I want to start with a text box, kind of like a welcome thing. So all I had to do is tap text box. And I'm going to say, welcome to my site. Now, let's say I want to put an image in here. I'm just going to slide this over. And you notice those little lines in the back? In fact, I'm going to change that to welcome to our site because it's a class website, right? And let's say I want to put an image in there. Well, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to tap image. And again, I'm not going to select one from Google. I'm just going to upload another one of my own. Let's see, which one may I want to put in here? Let's go right here. Actually, I like that Earth one. Okay, looks a little big, looks a little clunky. It's put it right here on the side. I think what I'm going to do is shorten it a little bit. I think I might drag it over here just so it's got that symmetry. And I think here what I'm going to do, I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to bold it. And I think I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I'll make it a title and see what that looks like. All right, and you notice the color now matches the overall theme of the site that I've chosen, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I kind of like that. It looks kind of like, it looks like it's meant to be there. I myself don't want to put too much stuff here, but if you're using this as a class page and you've got a whole pile of things you want to see in here, you might want to put a bunch of stuff in there just so this is where you get assignments. This is where you can email me. Now the question is, how do you want to do that? Well, again, we're staying with our insert tab here for a little bit. I'm going to go down here and show you the buttons. Okay, if I tap on this button, let's say I'm going to put assignments, and there is no link to it uh, because it usually needs a link. So you know what I'm going to do is just for the sake of today, I'm going to copy that, and put GEG Nagoya in there because a button has to have a link to go somewhere. So I click insert, and boom, there it is. And you notice it's brown to match this, but it's in kind of a weird place in my mind. But maybe that's okay. Let's add another button here, just very quickly. So we have assignments, we have contact me, and I might actually learn to type someday. Click insert there. Oh, it's put that right down underneath. So I'm just going to click that, going to drag it, I'm going to pop it up right there. And now they're beside each other. This is called dragging and dropping, right? Which is another feature that makes sites pretty simple. I'm going to go with one more button. Let's see, assignments, contact. What else might I want to do? I'll say unit 1 stuff, and I'll put whatever the link's going to be to that. I'm going to drag that up here, and I'll go boom. There we are. Now the problem is I don't like this. I can't see the whole word, so I'm going to click on it, and with these little buttons, you can just kind of drag them. And I'm just going to drag it over once because I want to be sure I can get the same length for each one. I drag it over one more block. Let's put that into place. Now, normally I wouldn't put contact me before unit 1 stuff. Look at that. I have to make it a little bit longer. Okay, good. Now these are all the same length and they look kind of good. I'm going to tap these together though. In fact, actually, I'm just going to go right here, and I don't have to tap them all at the same time, by the way. This is a placeholder in here. So I'm going to drag that and kind of put it up there. It's like, hey, I kind of like that. It looks a little bit better. I wonder what it's going to look like. So I'm going to go to my preview. And on the phone, what does it look like? Oh, scroll down. Oh, that looks kind of nice. I like that. On tablet, scroll down. Oh, that looks pretty. And on a website, scroll down, and we got it. So that's not so bad, is it? Unfortunately, you cannot change the whole color of a background or background color in any of the pages in Google Sites. But I do think that it is going to come soon. They've been developing this app over 2 or 3 years, and it keeps getting better. Now, before we move on to the next thing, I want to show you that if you scroll all the way down, then you can add your footer. And, let's say this is your professional site. You might put copyright 21.9. Copyright, let's see. Let's call this a class website. But if it was your professional site, you might want to call it something else. And I want to put that in the middle. So I'm going to use my justification tool right here. And let's say I want to highlight it and bold it. I can change the size, but I don't really want to do that. Okay. So the nice thing is this is now going to appear on all of your different pages. Okay. And on any page, you can edit the footer. So now the big $100 question is, how do I add another page? Well, if you go up here, you click on pages, voila. I only have my home page. That's the default that Google gives you. So I'm going to go down to my button here. And the nice thing is I can either link a tab to an external website, or which would be a new link right here, or I could use a new page. So I'm just going to tap new page. Let's say I'm going to call this, let's say assignments. Just like that button down there. Maybe you don't want buttons. You'd rather have a tab at the top. You can click advanced, and then there are, a custom path that you can write. I recommend you don't do that because you don't really need it. So I'm going to click done. And then you're going to notice I have an assignments page. I've got the same background. Looks pretty sweet. Nice and easy. There's no content, but I do have my footer. Beautiful. This is quite big, though, and I want to stay consistent with everything else. So I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to click title. And I believe I made it a heading. So I'm going to do that. And wonderful. If I go back to my home tab, you notice now they are consistent. And you also notice that I have a tab up here, right? So let's add another page just for the sake of having fun. I'm going to do another one. I'm going to call it contact. And I'm going to click done. Had to do the same thing, which is kind of a drag, but There, heading, and I know that that's going to look the same as the other ones. Now, if I want, this page could actually do the title only. And then when I go back to home, I still have home and assignments looking the same. Well, with assignments, tell you what, why don't I make that same header type, title only. So that way, click on home. Let's go to preview and see how that looks. There's my class website. I'd still have my buttons down there. There's my tablet view. And here's my phone view, right? Thing is, I had to go up here with the phone now because I actually have a menu. What does that assignments thing look like? Click on that and it's nice and clean. What does it look like on my computer? Nice and clean, right? And I still have that copyright free thing at the bottom. Beautiful, love it. I'm going to click my X here to get out. Remember, we have not published yet. Now, let's say you want to add a whole pile of units, or let's say you've got different classes. It says class website, but tell you what, let's give specific classes. So I'm going to add a new page yet again. And I'm going to put class, let's just say, what do I want to call it? Say I teach history. Because that's what I do. History grade 11. Let's go that way. I'm going to click done and go through the motions. Let's go back to doing the header only, or the heading. I'm going to change the header type. I'm going to put a banner on this one because it's actually a class, like it's a landing page for a class. Now, I really wish I could just make a copy of this and edit, but unfortunately, you can't do that. I'm sure that feature will come in the future as well. I'm going to click plus. I'm going to do a new one. Let's call History Grade 12. I'm going to click done. Same deal. I'm going to change that to heading. You notice, though, I still have the banner here, right? Let's just, for the sake of argument, go with another one. Let's call it Geography. And because I teach history, I automatically click Teach Geography. So I click that heading there. Okay, so now I have my classes. But one thing I notice is, if I add 4 or 5 more classes, this is going to get pretty messy to deal with. So I think this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to my Home tab. And you notice here it's got Unit 1 stuff. I think I'm just going to delete that. Don't really need my buttons. Let's reload. Okay. And my assignments. Whoa. I actually tapped on it when I didn't intend to. Hold on one moment. We're going to go back home. I'm going to tap that and I'm going to delete. And I've got my contact me in the middle here. I'll just keep it like that, even though I know it's up here. Now, the thing is, what can I do to make this a little bit cleaner? Well, I'm going to go back to my pages. And what I want to do is have a drop-down menu. So I'm going to click Pages. And now I've got my different classes. I think what I'll do is maybe make a tab called All Classes. I'm going to tap on that. I'm going to change this again. Put that down in my header. And I'm going to make this, maybe I'll keep that as a banner, actually, because it is my classes and I'll stay consistent. The thing is, though, I want to have all these classes drop down here. So what we're going to do is take this, and I'm simply going to click it. I'm going to drag it, and I'm going to drop it into all classes. History grade 10 or 11. So I highlight that. I'm going to drag it, and I'm actually going to drop it right there. You see that little blue line? Now I've got 12, 11, and geography. I noticed, whoops, I didn't put my grade level in there. So I'm going to click on my little buttons here, and I'm going to go to properties. And I'm going to put grade 10 because I used to teach grade 10 geography. And I want to do the same thing. I want to take that, highlight it, and I just want to put it right here. Sometimes it gets a little bit sticky. In fact, you know what I'll do is put it there, and now I'm just going to drag it down. Whoops, that's not what I intended to do. Bear with you here for a moment because I've got sticky fingers when it comes to this stuff. So I'm having a hard time with that, so I've decided I'm just going to drag it at the top and put the others in place. Now, the thing is, for a whole year class, obviously you're going to have different units and things like that. So I'm going to go right back here to my little button, and I'm going to click Add a Subpage. And I'm going to call it Unit 1. let's call it, I don't know, let's say, for the sake of argument, the 18th century. And I click done, and voila, I've got Unit 1, the 18th century. Maybe I want to keep that nice and big so it stands out. I like to stay consistent, so I'm not going to do that. In fact, since it might take up a lot of real estate, I might just put the title only. All right. And it still matches the brownish color that I've got going on here. I'm going to go back to this History 12. I'm going to tap Add a subpage, and I'm going to call it Unit 2, in the 19th century. All right. You see where I'm going here. So same deal, except I had to highlight that, make it a header again, and boom. All right. So now in order, I've got grade 12 and then Unit 1, Unit 2. Let's see how this is going to look. So I go up to my preview. Hey, I like that. If I tap on home, I got my class website and I got my little arrow here that tells me, hey, there's something else in there. And then I tap and I've got my units. What does it look like on a smartphone? Just like that. Go to my menu and it's got my drop down sliding menu. Way cool. So I'll click my X here and get out. Remember, we have not published this yet. And so assignments seems kind of silly, right? Because I'm going to put assignments in my classes. So tell you what, let's go back home. And I think I'm going to keep that up there. But what I'm going to do is, sorry, I'm not going to go back home. I'm actually going to go down here to assignments. I'm going to go to my little dots. I'm going to go to properties. I wish this said edit, but it does not. Properties is where you edit. And instead of assignments, I'm going to go announcements. Hey, how funky is that, right? So now I've got announcements, and it could be announcements for all classes. And I got my contact. So this is actually quite clean, doesn't look too busy. And I think I'm kind of ready to go. So let's say I want to add some content. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go here to my classes, and let's start with History Grade 12. All right. So I'm going to go back here to my insert thing, and I'll think, what do I want to put in here? Well, let's say I want to put a welcome history YouTube, video or something like that. Well, I'm going to click YouTube. Nice thing is I can look at the videos that I've uploaded. These ones aren't really relevant. So let's see if we can find a history video. History, 18th century. Pretty broad topic, but for the sake of today, oh my goodness, here's a 21-minute video on the 18th century. Actually, hygiene in the 18th century is much cooler. So I'm going to tap on that. I'm going to click select, and then boom. Hygiene in 18th century. Looks like fun, right? Did they bathe? Well, some of them did, of course. Now, let's say I want to put a little context into that. I'm going to tap my text button, right? Inserted a text box. I'm like, let's say guiding questions. And again, I can spell. I just can't type. So the thing is, it's down here. What I want to do is drag this, and I want to plop it right there. Whoa, that didn't work. Let's try that again. Whoa, that didn't work. Okay, I'm going to shorten it. And I'm going to look at my little bars at the bottom, just so I can see that it's going to be the length that I want. So I'm going to go here. And now you can see as I moused over, I get this little thing here where it allows me to drag and drop. So I'm going to put question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, and question 5. And of course, I would write out my questions, and that's looking okay. Let's say I want to have maybe an introduction, or if I want to break this page down into sections. And this is our landing page. It's not a unit page. So I'm going to drag this here, and I'm going to say, welcome to the class. And I'm going to highlight that and bold it. I'm going to put it in the middle. I'm not going to make it normal text. I'm going to make it a title because, hey, this is important to me, right? Let's say I want to put something underneath this. I'm going to scroll down to insert. You see all these different insert options you have, right? Click divider. And so if I put anything underneath here, I'm going to have this little divider that just kind of neatly separates things. Of course, if I want, though, I'm just going to insert a text box. I'm going to mouse over here and then drag that up. And I'm going to give some quick instructions. Um, have a look at the introductory video below and respond to the prompts. And I want a prompt, not a prompt. Okay, so there I've got my instructions and I've got the video and I've got my guiding questions. Let's say I want them to engage with the video a little bit more. Maybe what I can do is go and insert a Google form. Oh me, oh me, oh my, what a great idea. So I'm going to click Google Forms. Now, I don't have one set up for this tutorial, so let's just throw in a good pub night. I mean, hey, did they bathe? Hopefully after they went to a pub. So I've highlighted this and I'm going to click Insert. And there we go. So I'm going to take my divider here. Notice I mouse over. I get my little arrows and I just have to drag it and drop it right to the bottom here. Now this form, I think I might want to make it a little bit wider, a little bit shorter. So I found my middle thing here. I want this to go right across the page. You can see the pattern here, right? The way you move and do things. So I'm going to shorten it a little bit because I think it is too long. I mean, you can keep it that way if you want. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, you do get the idea. You can go and you can keep shortening it, and that way you can have it just, one small little thing right here. Maybe we'll drag it up just a little bit more. And we'll see how that looks. Yeah, just a little bit more. There we go. So let's see how this looks actually. I'm going to go up to my preview. And on a mobile, there we go. And woohoo, right? There's my form. And you notice when I mouse inside the form, I can scroll down. Now, this is an example of a Google Drive, app that if I change it in my Gmail account, in my Drive folder, it automatically changes it on the website. I do not have to open up Google Sites to actually change it up, which is nice. I don't have to republish. So there's my first page, and I've got like a little, hey, maybe this form would be, how do you learn, or what do you know about this unit in history, or whatever. So what I would like to do now, let's say, well, I want to show you a few more things. So let's say I'm going to go down to the first unit within this grade 12 class. So Unit 1, the 18th century. Now, let's say I have within this unit maybe 4 subtopics. One thing that I want to do is perhaps put in one of these layouts. These layouts are in placeholders. They're nice and slick. Let's say I've got 2 main topics within this unit. I'm going to just tap this one, and boom, there we go. Now, I'm going to start with editing the text, and I'm just going to put topic 1 and topic 2, whatever the topics might be. And you can have some kind of subtext, like the beginning of ... and end to a century ... All right, gives them just the students a little bit more of a little more context of what this might be about. So now what I can do is tap on this, and I can put in a video, I can put a calendar, a map, an image, whatever I really want to do. Why don't I select an image? Let's go with historical map. All right, great. I'm just, for the sake of this demo, I'm going to put that in there. Fits really nicely, right? So now I'm going to upload image. Actually, maybe I won't. I'm going to cancel that. I am going to select an image. So I'll do a search again. Let's say historical map. Of course, I get something that's a little bit more relevant. All right, let's go with, I don't know, this one is portrait. Let's see what happens. In we go. Yay, it has automatically sized it for me. And if I want, I can actually click a link to that actual map, which would bring the person, the viewer, the user, into straight to where that map came from, if you want it. It just means that your images become clickable links. So I tap on that, and hey, that looks all right. Because this map is portrait format, I've got this little white here, so I probably wouldn't use that. But let's say I tap on it, I double click, whoops, sorry, tap on that, go up to my little buttons, and I want to replace the image. Buttons, replace image. Yeah, not good with my buttons tonight. There we go. I'm going to go back with a search. I'm just going to write map. And this one looks like it might be a little friendlier. Right, so there I got that balance. It looks kind of nice, right? And then I can put anything else that I might want in here. So hey, let's do that. Let's say I want to work on a Google My Map with my class, right? The nice thing about maps, okay, is that you can have people collaborate on them, right? Um, let's see. For this though, this is actually a Google map. So let's say I can enter a location. I don't know. Let's say I'm in Japan, so I'm going to say Kyoto. Tap on that, and I can select it and click embed. I want to show you this My Maps, though. Let's say you've got students working on a map. My Maps are maps that you can make on your own, and they have this same kind of look and feel. This is not a Google My Maps tutorial, so I'm going to stick with this. All right, so I'm going to put that in there. And let's say I want to make it a little bit bigger. Let's bring it all the way across the page, make it a little bit prettier. Okay, and so there I have my map in there, and students can zoom in or they can zoom out. That's when they're looking at it on a web browser. Can't do it right now. Okay, so let's say I want to add something else. All right, let's say I've got a slides deck that I want them to see. I click on slides, and of course you want to make this before, right? So let's put the slide deck that we've been working on here. Again, any of the content you put in here, you're going to have to make first, right? So I have a whole slew of slides in here. So let's see. Maybe I'll go with the online deck. Tapped it, click insert, and there's my slide deck. And within it, when it's published and they view it on the net, they should be able to just play it or move from slide to slide, whatever way they want. Get my little gear wheel, and then I can have it automatically play back or whatever, just like slide decks and other web apps. If you want to put a calendar in, you can do that. I'm not going to show you because I think you figure that out for yourself. If you use Google Sheets or if you've made charts from Google Sheets, there, ATL skills. Whoa, that's a lot of stuff, right? Tap on that, and it has no charts in it, so I can't add it. But you can, if you create charts with your Google Sheets, then you could put a pie graph or a bar graph or some kind of chart in there. Now, Google Docs is something you're probably going to embed a little bit more than anything else. So I'm going to click that doc thing. All right, let's go. Here's from the YouTube live series. I'm going to click that, and voila. Here is my Google Doc. And when I publish this, it's going to be scrollable. And we'll show you how to do that in just a moment. Yeah, let's see, what else might we want to think about adding? Now we've got our layouts. Let's say you want to add something from Google Drive, or if you want to embed something. In fact, let's embed something because embedding is really cool. Yeah, I'm going to go with an app called Sutori that I like. Nailed art, Sutori. Tap on that. As we wait for this to load. Remember, anything with an embed code, you can pretty much embed. Sometimes it might not look that pretty, but for the most part, you should be able to do it. Now, within this really cool timeline app called Story, I've made them public. So I'm actually going to take a risk here and see if I can get the embed code without logging in. Just wait a moment there for this ridiculously long. Okay, while we wait for that, I'm going to, oh, there we go. All right, so these are all my little stories. I'm going to choose one of my English ones, or sorry, my history ones when it pops up. Christmas is coming. Let's go with the history of Christmas. All right, so here it says share, so I'm going to click on that. And you notice it says embed. Now, in most apps and tools and things like that, you can find an embed code. So here's my code. I'm just going to copy that. Oh, copied. Yay. Let's go back to the class website. Let's say I want to embed something I made in one of my other tools. I'm going to click on my embed code. Now, here it says URL. And I want to take the URL and put that in instead of the embed code, because I do find once in a while the embed code is a bit fussy. And it's being fussy right now. So tell you what, let's reload that. I'm going to go up here, click share. I'm going to go right up here actually and just copy the URL. Going to go into Google Sites. Yay, it's refreshing for me. Aren't you polite? I'm going to go down here and I'm going to click embed again. Embed. I'm going to post the URL. Oh, boom, there it goes. So I'm going to click insert. And there is my Satori story. So we'll see what that looks like in a moment. So now you see that you can embed things from Drive, images, videos, that kind of thing. And you can embed other things. Table of contents. If you want a table of contents, I recommend you do it on your landing page. We're not going to jump into that right now. I do honestly find it a little bit clunky, but hey, I recommend that you play with it yourself. An image carousel is kind of fun. Let's say you've held an event and you put the event up in your tab. Then you can have an image carousel. So those would be a series of images that you've put into Google Drive, right? Way cool. Okay. I think we're getting to the point where we might want to publish this little bad boy. And 8:47, we're getting close to our time here. So before we publish, I think what I want to do is show you the share button right here, right? And this is the same icon across all Google tools. So I can change who I want to collaborate with me. Let's say I'm just going to collaborate with myself because nobody else likes me. I'll send an email to myself. Actually, I won't do that. And then I add a message. I'm not going to click send, but really it is that simple. If I want to, I can change the publishing access here if I want. But what I would like to point out is the publishing right here. So I've gone through all my different tabs. I think I'm ready to go. And remember, it's good to start simple. Start with your home tab and then maybe one class or maybe announcements, and then little by little kind of build on it. You don't have to have a full-on website from the very beginning. So I'm going to click publish here. And the web address. Well, what do I want to call this? You do have to have some kind of name for your site. And it's got to be all one letter. And you notice here now it says class website. And look, it's a great address, but it's already taken. Maybe I'm going to call it class-website. Oh, that's taken too. I actually don't recommend using hyphens. Maybe you want to do your surname, right? Let's just go Flubby. I don't know why that came to my mind, but you've got to be kidding me. Somebody called Flubby is already there. Okay. Let me think of something else. GG demo website. All right. It says, yay, I can use it. Nobody's got it out there. Nice. So if I want a custom URL, that's where you create your own domain. Now, the purpose of today is not to teach you how to do that, but if you go to this slide deck towards the bottom, it shows you step-by-step how to do that. So I'm going to click publish. Okay, if I want, I can get search engines to not display my site, but I want people to find me. So I'm going to click publish. Publishing. When I delete my site, that's going to, yay, your site's been published successfully. Do I want to view it? Of course I do. If I delete my site, which I'm going to do after this demo, then that means that URL will come available again. All right, so I'm going to go up to home. And yay, everything is there. There's my grade 12 history class website. All right, there are my guiding questions and my introductory video. Let me go back up and see what the first unit looks like. So I'm going to go down. Remember, I could link these to external websites if I wanted to, or link it to a page within this website, which I haven't shown yet, so I'm going to do that. And I got my story. I click on that, and it's going to take me to the story of Christmas. Unfortunately, you can't change that image, but maybe the good people at Satori will do that for us sometime. So let me close that. So I want to edit. Now, notice that I can click back here to edit, or let's say you lose a tab, you just have to go to the edit pay, button, click on that, and there you go. You can click edit. It's going to open it for you. In fact, I'm going to close it because the same page is open up right here. Okay, now within pages, there was one other thing that I was going to show you here, um, and I can't remember what it was. My apologies. You click on the pages here, maybe I'll get a quick little reminder. We've done the drag and drop and shown you how you can move things around. So I think actually we've pretty much touched on everything. Let's go up here. Finally, our little buttons, right? It says site analytics, duplicate the site. If you want to have separate class websites, you can set everything up and then click duplicate, nice and easy. You can click custom URLs to go and find your own domain and pay 20 bucks a year or whatever. Uh, you can add a favicon. So I'm going to tap on that. And what a favicon is, I mentioned earlier, is a little image that pops up here. So what I'm going to do, now usually these have to be smaller images. So I'm not expecting this to work right now because this one's a little bit too large. We'll see what happens though. And what that's going to do normally is put an image right up here. It appear when your site is published. Okay, lovely, that did work. And I want to see how that looks. So I'm going to tap on my preview. And usually there's a favicon that appears right here. Maybe because I'm not looking at my published site. So I'm going to click publish. And if I tap on my down arrow, I can click view published site. And again, my favicon hasn't appeared here, so that might take a little bit of time to load. But one last thing, again, if you decide I don't want people to see this anymore for a little while, I can unpublish it, or I can go to the settings and change that so people can't see it. Unpublish means that it's unpublished. It does not mean it's deleted, okay? So essentially, that's Google Sites. I mean, in about 45 minutes, I've shown you how you can make your own website. In fact, less than 45 minutes. I will say when you view the published site, you are going to get that. Okay, if I was going to click home, I've got sites.google.com/view GEG demo site. In fact, if I want to take out the word home, I can do that. So, if you don't want that and you want a custom domain, something.com, then I highly recommend you do it. Looks a little bit more professional, and for 20 bucks a year, if you can afford it, why not? Make sure you choose a name that you're going to use for the rest of your life, okay? Okay, so I think what we're going to do is now move to Blogger, okay? So give me one moment, and I'm really just going to show you the difference between Blogger in terms of how to set it up, next juxtaposed, I guess you'd say, to a new Google site. So I'm going to click on this is my private account here. I'm going to click on my apps launcher and I'm going to go to Blogger. Now I've got 2 accounts open right now, so this might actually force me out or give me a hard time. And I can see up here, it probably is. I'm going to sign in here. I'm going to choose the account that it's associated with. And we will be done in a few minutes, folks, because the whole point is actually to show you sites. Now, here's the thing, all right? So these are all the different posts. I mean, creating a new post is pretty straightforward. You click on new post, and then you start typing. But what I do find is that the formatting doesn't really look too, it's a bit clunky. If you want to insert images, pretty much the same as with your other tabs, images and videos and that kind of thing. But you can't really move things around. You can wrap text around an image, but it doesn't always look that pretty, to be honest with you. But again, you can add labels. You can schedule when you want it to go public. So there's a few other features that, are kind of nice. If you're into coding, of course, you can use HTML. So I'm going to close that because I do not want to actually create a blog post. So let's say we go down here and we look at the layout, right? So you've got to have this idea, like my blog looks like this, but when I'm building it, it looks like this. So you really have to have like that, be able to visualize what you want things to do. This is actually the navigation bar. This is that picture with a header. This is some page navigation here. These are all my sidebar widgets. Okay. Let's say I want to add pages. I had to go in and I have to create new pages. I actually don't have pages in here, but settings, right? Pretty straightforward, this stuff. But if you look at the theme, if I want to customize the theme, which I've done, most people probably customize to give it that look and feel that you like. I had to tap on this and wait for that to load. Okay, so then you have to go in, you have to tap these different things and kind of test it out. And it is a little bit time consuming. So I do recommend that you stick with Google Sites. If you really are bent on having this record of uh, each date and when you posted and how many posts within the date. Like in July, I was a little less busy, so if I tap on that, I'll get my two dates in July. For example, in 2017, I was quite busy. January, hey, I got really excited, did a whole bunch of stuff when I was on vacation. So again, as a blog, this actually works very well. As a website, it could work, but developing it's not integrated with Google Drive apps. So I would highly recommend the Google Sites for the class website rather than a blog in Blogger. Maybe we'll do a tutorial on Blogger some night, set one up for you. But for now, I think we'll stick with Sites. So we are actually towards the end of our time here. So I would like to just remind you that this link has been posted in on the YouTube comments. Now, I haven't been looking at the YouTube comments, so I apologize if people have been posting or commenting. I will actually comment in a little bit. But I want to go back quickly to our slide deck just to wrap the episode up here. So just a reminder that this is episode 6 of 6 from 2019. This was pretty much our beta testing. We've got ideas now how we can improve this a little bit, be a little more consistent, a little more formal, and maybe even a little shorter, go to half an hour shows. Today had to be long because we wanted to show you all the goodness. But keep an eye out for Google Educator Group Nagoya. Now, something I didn't mention in the introduction is what we are. GEGs are localized groups in different cities around the world, groups of educators that get together to talk about education. Usually it's about technology, but not necessarily always about technology. We are supported by Google, but we are all volunteers. So we are teachers in the classroom, we are technology coaches, we are administrators, and we put on free events for people to come to where we can share our learning. And we in GEG Nagoya try to get people that are attending to share their ideas with us and maybe do short presentations and that kind of thing. Well, one thing we are going to do again this year, we didn't get a chance to do in 2019, but we did successfully in 2018. We had 5 people join a study group and they all took and passed the exam. One person, Steve McGuire, is actually, he passed level 2 on his own after doing level 1 with our help. And then he went on to become one of the first people in one of the first cohorts of the innovators, right? Google certified innovators. So anyway, that's something you could think of down the road. If you choose to join this study group, we're going to tell you all about that. In fact, we'll have another live show where in half an hour we tell you how you can get different Google certifications. But we will put on an online study group. It is self-paced. You work through Google's online manual, and then we get together every 2 or 3 weeks to talk about your questions and your frustrations or your glories and successes. And then we'll decide together when we write the exam in one place physically together, or you can go on your own. The exam costs $25, but you're certified for 3 years, and it opens you up to thousands of people around the world that grows your PLN and can help you solve problems in your own context. And finally, we are going to have a pub night, hopefully in January. We get together at a pub and we spend 2 hours as we have Friday evening drinks and dinner, talking about some topic in education, usually based on technology. And we like to have a demo slam, which means participants get a chance to come up and share their expertise as well. We usually hold this at Coat of Arms Pub in Fushimi in downtown Nagoya. So keep an eye out for that. You can find us at gegnagoya.com. That would be our website, but you can find us on hashtag GEG Nagoya Twitter. And you can find us on Facebook as well. And you guessed it, GEG Nagoya. So we'll say farewell. We hope you have a little bit of an opportunity to take some rest over the New Year break coming up. Happy holidays, Happy New Year to everybody, and we will see you in 2020.